Kia ora and welcome to the Creative Matters podcast, where we have inspiring conversations with New Zealand artists. I'm your host, Mandy Yarkich. These conversations are intimate, uplifting and insightful. The guests on this show have absolutely enriched my life, and I'm sure their stories will have the same effect on you. Thank you so much for joining me to listen to these amazing people speak about what drives them, the way they work, and their personal takes on life. Hi, and welcome back to the Creative Matters podcast. This week, I'm speaking with Glen Colechin. Glen is a sculptor born and raised in the UK and now living in Napier. His contemporary sculptures are made from recycled materials, offcuts from native timbers, recycled copper, brass, and natural elements like stone and wood.
It's emotion that drives it whilst I'm making the artwork. It's not, I get excited, and as I'm going through it, I just feel it. I can feel it. It's just, it just feels great. And seeing that movement and stuff, and it's the light play, and you say I like to get the light like at the end of the night. If I'm working on a big piece and stuff, I've got a hammock that's in the garage, and I flick that up. I get that up, and then I'll put the lights down, and I have one spotlight on the piece, and I'll just look at it, from different angles, and put different lighting underneath, and it just, it's magical.
Glen has recently transitioned from a product design and engineering career into becoming a full-time artist. He focuses his creative energy on fulfilling his passion and connecting to his very loyal fan base. Glen is an awesome guy with a great accent who is very passionate about what he does. We talk about his deep down need to design and create, how found materials inspire him and often form the starting point for his work, how popular his work has become almost overnight, and how he endures depression and uses art to help him control it. Hi, Glen.
Hello there.
How are you?
Very well, thank you.
It's nice to see you. Yeah, I'm really looking forward to hearing all about your life and your amazing sculpture practice and how incredibly successful you've become almost overnight, it seems. So I know you were born in the UK and you've spent a long time in Scotland, and then you made your way to Aotearoa about 10, 11 years ago. So Can you tell us about your childhood, please, and what your family were like and how creative you were as a kid?
Well, it was, start back in 1975. I was born and lived in a town called Wakefield, predominantly coal mining community. My dad, I did a bit of everything, to be honest with you. He was like a shop fitter, but when I was at that young, I used to call him a shoplifter because I couldn't get my head around it. Telling everyone, "Yeah, my dad's a shoplifter," and he was. But he was a shop fitter, so he'd be away and he'd go and do things out of that way. But then when he came back, he used to do a lot of painting, and he used to do a lot of hunting. So he was into oils and things. So he used to paint like people's dogs and things like that on plates and he paid for his beers and stuff like that. Pretty much signing them out the back of his Ford Maestro van, like a Del Boy. And so he did a lot of that, and then he did sort of bigger paintings and things, and I used to sit beside him and watch him, how he'd work and create and things. But I was never that bothered about painting. I was more of a pencil drawer. I like to get into doing really super real life drawings with the pencil and getting all the shading in there. One of what's probably most valuable things that he taught me, and it's probably pulled into my sculpture and into everything else, is about shading light and how it lands and things like that. And what he did was one of the little practices. He said, go in your bedroom, said, take a candle and this apple. He said, and light the candle, turn the lights off, and just draw what you see with the candle next to it and how the shadow lands and things. it's it added a total different dramatic look to that apple. And then now I think that's what kind of like really is a bit of inspiration in my sculpture and stuff, because I leave a lot of it open, and so then the light can go through and cascade shadow around it, and it changes throughout the day and at night time even better. So yeah, it's from an apple, boring old apple, you get like this beautiful shadows and something that's emotionally pulls you in.
And how great that your dad spent that quality time with you, which has kind of probably come through into your work now, hasn't it, really?
Yeah, it's funny because I think it's with everything like that. Your parents are kind of telling you to do all these things and stuff, and you're like, at that time of your life, you're like, whatever, and you don't do it. And then when you get older, it's like, oh, that was actually really valuable, what they've done, what they told me, because I really like doing this now.
Yeah, so, exactly. And sometimes you're doing things and you don't even realize the connection, and suddenly it comes to you that, oh my God, that's actually, come from that part of my childhood.
Yeah, and it's like, it's funny, and not that I don't think this is a thing with that, but like I predominantly use copper. But one of my chores, there's 3 chores. It's take the dogs for a walk, weed the garden, and polish the copper and brass every week. And it was like, and I hated that chore. I was like, oh, what again? If only there was a spray you could put on copper and it just keeps it shiny. And there is. Why didn't I know about that then?
Even in those days, wow. Oh, that's funny. And now you've got a dog sitting behind you while we talk.
I've got Coco here.
That's come through.
Suitably copper coloured as well. She's kind of reddy browny colour. Yeah, she's lovely. But we've got her for she'll sit with me and when I'm doing my artwork and things as well. And also Frankie, my little 6-year-old, it's her little sister. She can have a good battle with her and stuff.
Cute. Oh, that's so sweet. So going back to your childhood, Glenn, you had a mum also who really encouraged your creativity.
Yeah, she was. So I think she was brilliant in that sense, that because she, where Dad kind of failed on being getting the pricing right and stuff like that, and he did giving his artwork away for a few more beers or whatever, or getting 35 quid where he could have been charging like 70 or 100. Mum was always, oh, Philip, you're being stupid again, bloody spending your money frivolously on, beers and that. And he's like, and Mum's like, why don't you bloody put it up a bit more and stuff? And he'd never do it. So, I kind of took all that when I got older and that. And I thought, well, you've got to, if you're going to make this a full-time job, you've got to get yourself paid properly back with it. You've got to cover your materials, you've got to cover your time, you're paying for the use of your materials. Yeah, and you just got to be a bit more practical about it if you actually want to take it on full time.
Yeah.
I think I'd learned that. I learned that valuable sort of. I'd learned that because it was tough. Because my dad, they're always scrimping and scraping. I mean, they've never been richer since they got retired. It's like they've always been growing their own vegetables, and he had his own chickens and goats and stuff like that. And so I've lived up in that bloody sort of what's it called, what was that program back?
The Good Life.
The Good Life.
Yes,
so I've lived that life,
which is good. That's a good upbringing.
Oh no, it's wicked. It's brilliant. Yeah, because now to say I can go back to that, and then we've had a garden and we've grown all his veg and we've put it in the, we're going to do that seasonal thing where you're growing your tomatoes, make it into relishing things, and then putting them storing them in your fridge, and going through the seasons like that.
That's great. Your dad was into hunting and fishing, Glenn, and you obviously took that on yourself, and a lot of your work now, I guess, is related to that. So was that right? Was that something that you were interested in early on?
Yeah, I wasn't really interested in guns and stuff. I was never really interested in that because I was always scared of the bangs of balloons, never mind guns. So it's like, I wasn't keen on like catapults, little pellet guns. I could do all that. Anything above the size of a rabbit, I just felt it wasn't right to take the life. It's like, it was bizarre. It was a funny thing. I could gut them and do everything like that, and I could clean them all up for him because I was brought up doing everything like that as well. I was fishing and catching rabbits and cleaning them all up. But yeah, I just wasn't really into that. I was like, there's one occasion I remember my dad taking me. I think he thought I'd come to it's like, but he, like, you know, when you're Indians, it's like I'm becoming a man, and it's like took me out and we hunted down this stag, and he was absolutely beautiful, majestic looking beast. And this was up in Scotland in Wigtown, just outside of Wigtown on Gid Keys Farm, and it just raised its head up over the dike, because stone walls called dikes up there, and it lifted up and it was looking over, and he goes, "Yeah, son," and he passed the gun over to me, and it was like passing the peace pipe over, and I put it up to me, and I was shaking, and I'm like, "I can't do it, Dad. I can't kill that." And I go, "Oh, gives it here," and then he ran off into the bushes.
Oh, really?
And I was like, "Yeah." So I wasn't, never in like fishing. I could do, fishing was fine as well, and I could catch, decent stuff like that. But I don't know why. It's just always
fair enough. Good call, if you ask me.
Yeah, and the thing, like the beauty is my dad is as well. Like he'd only shoot what he needs, and we use everything within that. Like Dad would be trying to salt the skin up and make it into a rug or something, and then he'd use the legs on the deer as coat hooks. So he'd bend them up, put them in salt, and so then they'd bend them up right over, and then you could have use them as coat hooks. So he'd sell that. He'd get the bones out, clean them up, bleach them, and then he'd engrave into them and put ink in and things like that. And I remember when being really young, I was in the Cubs, and you get a toggle around your scarf my dad made me toggles with bones, like different bones that he'd done and stuff like that, and he made me a walking stick with a deer.
Oh my goodness!
Yeah, so like we were used. My dad was like, he tried to utilize everything that was, which is brilliant. And I think we do that now, and it's obviously works the same with my artwork because I'm using a lot of recycled metals and things like that.
Yeah, and you can see that. I mean, that's probably where you've got your creativity from, and the way you seem to work, where you just have something and you think, oh, I can make that into that, or which sounds a little bit like what your dad was doing with the animal parts.
Oh, totally. Yeah. He had we had an adder once. It shot it. Oh, you're not meant to shoot, but what had happened was we'd gone for a walk, and we had this sheepdog called Bud, and he was walking up the road, and he got bit by an adder. So he got poisoned on his lip. My dad he took his gun and shot it. And I was, right, that's all right. We can have that for as a belt now. I'll make that when we get back home.
Oh my God.
Just everything. It's like,
yeah. Well, you can really see the connection with, the way your creative mind works, and obviously what your dad was like.
Yeah.
And so did you have sort of hopes of, or did you ever imagine yourself becoming a sculptor or an artist when you were younger?
I was good at art, like at drawing and things. I was never good at anything else practically. And so when I was at school, like this actually, I will take you back, because when I lived in Yorkshire, saying there, I was in school with, say, I don't know, 200 people and stuff. But we moved up to Scotland in 2006 and moved into a village called Sorby. And I think, if I'm right, I reckon there was probably 10 pupils in that school. And so you were like, you couldn't hide anything. And, if I was really bad, I couldn't even read a watch when I was 13. And I'd been able to hide within the class when I was in Yorkshire, but in there you just couldn't. But the only thing that I was good at was art, so that was like good for making friends and stuff like that, because look at and everybody gather around and see what I could draw and stuff. And so that was my thing. And then comedy also helped a lot as well, because my accent was broad Yorkshire and theirs is Scottish, so you become the butt of the jokes unless you can become the Joker.
Yeah, exactly.
So that kind of like helped. So I think that's where a lot of it stemmed from. So it kind of got me through life as such, and I didn't really know what I wanted to do. Like every time you got asked that at school, or what do you want to be when you grow up? I don't know. And it's like, and everybody else always said what their dad's profession was, and my dad was like a do anything kind of guy and do
a shoplifter.
So I was like, I don't know, a shoplifter. I could be a shoplifter apprentice. Don't know. And said, I have no idea. I said, I don't know, fireman, let's say that, and that was it. And so, and it was right through my life that as well. I never knew what I wanted to do.
But you became an engineer, didn't you?
Yeah, but I'm not even qualified as well. I drifted into that. It's kind of like, I was doing it over in Yorkshire, in Dewsbury, because I moved back down from Scotland when I got to about, what age was I then? I would say about 19. Yeah, and about 19, I went to Scarborough Coast College and did 2 years there. When I came to in 2009, so I'd met my wife in 2002 at Leeds Music Festival, and to Prodigy and Guns N' Roses. And there was a riot at the end on the Sunday, and riot police came in and told us all to throw everything in this tents. So my wife, I said to my thing, sort of somebody I'd met, said, come back to mine and stay at mine. You can get the train the next day. Well, we're still together. It's like 19 years later. And so we stuck together there in Yorkshire for 9 years. And then we said, nothing's going on here. In 2009, when all the banks went all wrong. And so we said, I was working in engineering, but I was just like a design clerk. So I was just doing a lot of paperwork and stuff. And I said, look, my job's going nowhere. Let's go and do something else. So what had happened was, said, right then, we'll put it on next week. Went back to work on the Monday, and they said, right, we need 5 people to take voluntary redundancy. And I was like, yep, I'll have it.
Perfect. Good timing.
I know. I got that. Put the house up for sale, and I think this woman who came round to have a look at the house, I'm sure she won the lottery or something, and she bought it for her 2 kids, and says, I'll buy it with everything in it. So she bought it with everything in, knives and forks, the lot. We just put his bags on his backs, and then we went to Thailand and started, went from Chiang Mai and just worked his way right through for 2 months, and then came to New Zealand. With his money in the bank and just 2 months.
Wow, that's incredible. Yeah, it must have been meant to be, hey?
Oh yeah, and it was amazing because it finished. We sold the house in like July or something. And so it was like end of summer there. Gone to Thailand and it was summer there, and then we got to New Zealand and it was October, November, and it was just starting to be summer here, and it was like, whoa, it's the best start ever.
Boom. Yeah, brilliant. And why did you choose to come to New Zealand at that time?
It was just, as I say, nothing was going really right over there, work-wise and stuff. And we had the house that we were in, it was like almost like a standard one up, one down. There's no garden. I didn't do artwork because there was just nowhere to do it. But we said, we'll come to Hawke's Bay and give that a whirl. And if Hawke's Bay didn't really show the goods, then we were going to go to Wellington. And if that didn't, then we were going to go to Auckland. And last ditch would be Australia. So we kind of like, we give it a go. I got a job as a meter reader, reading people's houses' meters. And then I went into work for ABB, who's an electrical company. And that was building generators, powerful generators using copper wiring and stuff like that, and putting all this in together. So when I went in, I got a job doing refrigeration, which I'd never done in my life. The lad who I was taking over was leaving that day, so he taught me how to do one machine, how to gas it and fit it all up and stuff. Did that, and it was it might have been a run for Foster's or something. We had 200 cabinets to make. So I was doing like right through till late, just grabbing as much cash as I could. And we got that contract all finished. And then I carried on with refrigeration, understanding how to use copper, sulfos and brazing them together and things like that. And then I'd said to the design department, look, if there's a position that comes up for an engineer in there as a design engineer, I'm going to go for it. I want to go for it. So I went and did a night course at EIT. It was only like a month and a half long in SolidWorks. So I did that, and then a position actually came up, went for it, got it, and then I had to go and do a week intensive in Petone. And then I came back up and I did that for 9 years. I ended up learning everything because I'm a bit of a sponge. I enjoy learning new stuff on hand, and so I learned how to use the CNC machine, how to use the trunk punch machine, which is cutting all the metal, how to do the folding, how to generate programs for the folding machine, how to do weld drawings. So the basic could get, and by the end of me leaving, I could actually, the salesman could give me a job and I could actually do that everything right through to building it and doing the instructions, 3D instructions for the guys to carry on making that once I left, so it was actually really good for me. But problem was the wage wasn't that great again. And so what I was doing, I used to go and buy, you could get signed off for anything out of the bins. So I used to go and raid the bins and get, because we had a joinery department, a welding department, and stuff like that. So there was metal there was wood there, all these other things. And I used to just grab bits and bats of everything and then make things and then see if I could get them into a gallery, and started selling odds and sods. And because I was working as well, you could actually underprice yourself as such, and test the market. And then I could also put stuff in at a higher price and just see if it sold, because I wasn't in need of it because I was getting a wage anyway. Yeah. So it was a really good way of testing the market. And then I got into, did a few different things, learned pottery, which was I really enjoyed as well, which was really cool.
Oh, that's amazing. And I mean, it's incredible, isn't it, that you ended up in that job that was so sort of connected to materials and different processes and techniques that now you're using in your art practice. Did you have any at that time? Did you think that you would like to end up being a maker or a sculptor or an artist at some point? I'd say I've worked through different mediums. I've done the clay thing, which I think is one of the hardest. I reckon it's one of the hardest mediums to get right, and it's just so tough. It's just chemically, it's chemistry, it's structural, it's understanding temperature, everything like that. It's such a minefield to make anything that's large anyway as well. And that's where I wanted to go with it. I wanted to go large. So the first things I made was I wanted to make the Wind in the Willows characters, because I always still loved the show when I was a kid. And it was David Jason was Toadie, and who's Only Fools and Horses guy. And there was some great characters in it. And I just loved the styling of the stop motion models. I thought they were absolutely exceptional. And so when I came over, I thought I'll have a go at making Toad. So I made Toad, but I made Toad in a way that it was practical. So you could use him as a cookie jar. So you could actually lift his head off, and his belly was a void. So you could put stuff in there, which works fine for pottery anyway, because you actually just leave a thin skin around it. It's about an inch. So I did that one, and then I decided, I'm going to make Badger, because Badger's he's just got so much character. And I envisaged in my head Badger, and he's just coming out of this oak tree door or whatever, and the wind's blurring, really blazing at him. He's all wrapped up. He got his smoking jacket on, and he got this massive long scarf wrapped around his neck. And that, I did it all flapping in the wind behind him. And he's holding up a tilly lamp. And a raku fired the little tilly lamp that was in there. So it's like with a copper penny. So it looked metal. So you could put a little tea light in it, sort of say. And he's like wincing into the wind, and he's got his walking stick and, going forward. And I just loved all that, and getting all those bits and getting the little fob watch and just adding all these intricate things that make the big story when you look at it. Yeah. And did you do a course for that, Glenn?
No, I just learned it all off I just went down to the club, and then just what I used to do, again, recycle. I used to use all the slip off of the when people were making bowls and stuff. So you had a myriad of different types of clay in there, which can go off at any different temperatures. And I grog it up, so I basically squash it all up, and I like making bread. Squish it all up and mix it all together, and then just go away and make something. And a lot of people said, "No, it won't work. It won't work because you've got too many different types of clay in there that could go off at different timings and stuff." But never broke them. They all came through.
That's amazing. It's actually really surprising. Yeah,
Yeah,
so
yeah,
at that point you were just feeling like you want to be making,
yeah.
and you weren't sort of seeing it so much as a business or a money making venture at that point.
Nah, yeah.
Yeah,
I'd
and
come back from work and stuff, and then I'd just say, "Oh, do you know, I'm going to go down to the club," because I had a key, and you could just go in at any time, which was brilliant.
mm,
I go in and I just work for, you get lost in it for a couple of hours and stuff, and just feel brilliant again. You just,
mm,
you're not thinking about work or the stresses
yeah,
of life. You just get
yeah.
lost in it.
And how
Yeah.
long ago was that? When did you start making?
Oh, 2010. Yeah, 2000. Yeah,
Mm,
about 2010 it would have been, and then yeah, and then I lost it for a while. It's like when I got into FPG, that became my focus because it was so full on manufacturing. The turnarounds, beauty like of FPG was that the turnarounds are really fast, and that's what keeps them going. Where other companies, it'll take them maybe like a month or 2 months to get something produced. We said, oh, we could do it quicker than that, and we'd smash it out and stuff. And it was like, yeah, so it was full on all the time, and I really enjoyed it. I liked
mm,
that fast paced life.
yeah.
Uh, and then yeah, so I didn't really get back into my artwork again. But then it was just like, well, you're not paying me that, all right? So I'm gonna actually start looking at doing it. I'm gonna stop working over and not getting paid for it, and start making artwork.
Mm,
And and so then that's what started doing, and I started selling
mm.
artwork at a place called Atmosphere, a little gallery, and that's when I put Toad and
Badger.
Badger in, and
Ah,
it's, and now I think back, and I must have put out 80 hours into both of those, and I sold them for like $250 a piece or something like that.
really?
You know what I mean? And probably I didn't get all that because of the commission.
Yeah, but that
Uh,
was the starting point, I guess, and
yeah.
it was brave of you to kind of get it in there, I suppose.
Mm,
But that was the beginning, wasn't it? Really. And then so
totally. Yeah,
then
yeah.
did you kind of have a bit of a mindset change where you thought actually I can supplement my income with my art.
Yeah, I'd started making so one of my friends, she was ripping a kitchen out, had a whole load of Remu, and it had the old teal colour blue and white cream and all these other colours that we all know from the old school kitchens and stuff. And I said, oh, I'll take it off. I'll take it off. I'll make you a set of 3 flying ducks out of it. And then I said, there's payment. And she said, oh, yeah, cool. So I got them and I split them up into like 20 mil thick, and then 30 mil thick, different thicknesses. And then some of them sat higher than others. And what I did, I drew it out as a silhouette, these 3 flying ducks, which is really synonymous in UK and a little bit over here because I think you used to see it on Coronation Street in
Yeah.
on the wall. Yeah, so I made those, and yeah, they came out really good. And I thought, right, I'm going to start batch manufacturing these and then sell them. It'll be a good little earner. So I used to sell for $180 for a set of 3, and those used to sell really quick, really well. But then I noticed they looked very similar to Fane Floors, who's unfortunately passed away now, and he used to do a dove, and just one dove, and then it was with these bits of wood as well. And I thought, I'm not doing these anymore. I feel as though it's embarking too close to what he's doing.
Mm.
And so I came out of that, and they were saying, "Oh no, we want more." It's like, no, I'm not doing them anymore.
And that through the same gallery you were selling those
Yeah,
ones?
through the same gallery. I mean,
Yeah.
sometimes I go in and I put them up on the wall. As soon as I walk in, there'd be like a customer came in. There's, oh, I'd love them, and she'd high five me, and then I'd walk back out. I was like, wow, I've just sold as soon as I got in, and it's like that buzz.
Amazing. And at that point, were you selling on Instagram at all, or like putting your
No,
work up on
nothing
there?
like that. Not even Facebook or anything like that. I didn't have anything like that. It was just putting things in. Yeah, and then I don't know what I went on to then. What did I do? And then I think I did the odd different thing. One of the things I can remember back when I was doing that meter reading thing, I'd gone to a property just outside of outside of Hastings, and they have an exhibition there called Wildwood Flower Exhibition, after something like that.
Mm.
Anyway, and and they have all sculpture and stuff in there. And they had a couple of pieces of sculpture, and I was going up to read their meter. This is pre doing, you know, artwork, and I thought, bloody, how cool would it be to get a piece of artwork in here? You know, it's such a beautiful garden. And yeah, and lo and behold, it took me how many years? Probably took me 8 years, and then I actually approached them, and I put the bull in, the wire and stone bull.
Yeah.
Because it was mainly large sculpture, but I thought, I'll just start with a small piece and put it in and see what people think. And I put that in, and and I sold a couple of pieces in there, and that's by annually. So the next 2 years, then I'd looked say a bigger sculpture and stuff, and I thought, well, there's more of a market there, and it seems to you know, when somebody buys something like that, it's there forever kind of thing. It's like got this feel about it, and I always want to make a stag. I'd love to make a big, you know, real big stag. And so I spoke to a mate. I couldn't weld at that point, and I spoke to a mate at work, and I said, "Oh, do you fancy making a stag with me? And you know, I'll draw it all up, and like as in, I'll just draw it in chalk on the floor." So draw it in chalk on the floor, and we got Rio steel, which rusts. And I said, we'll just make it linear, so it's all line. So we'll just do it that way. Anyway, he said, "Yeah, no, it's keen." He says, "I'm not an artist, but you know, I'm a hunter, so I understand what a deal looks like." I said, "Yeah, come on, just come around." So we got way going, and he just like I was just buzzing off watching him getting really into it. And I drew the backbone out and the body and stuff. I said, right, well, we've got to bend all this Rio now, so we'll just get it on the vise there, and you know, we're just bending it around like that. And then the backbone on it was, I think it was 16 mil. It was quite thick. I said, "Come on," I said, it's not strong enough, that, and it's too long to be able to bend it here. Let's get out and use the lamppost in the cul-de-sac. So we get out in the lamppost, and we've been around the lamppost, and next door neighbour's like looking, what the hell's he up to? And then get it back in, weld it up, and then like in the first night, we got the chest and the back of the animal done, and he was like, "Oh, I can see this, it's happening." And I was like, "Yeah, it is, it's happening." And so the next day, he's like, I'm coming back, yeah. So we worked till like 7 o'clock or whatever at work, and then we'd come back and start jumping into that, and we'd be there till like 1 o'clock. We'd put the tunes on, you know, have a couple of beers and stuff, and then we're doing that, and it's just such a cool thing to do.
Yeah.
And then we got the legs on, and it's got standing, and he's just like, "Wow, I can't believe
yeah."
and he's standing back, and he's like, "Yeah." I'm like, "Yeah, it's good, isn't it?" And he,
good.
Yeah, and then getting the curve and stuff, and getting the legs, you know, the way that it moved and stuff. And he was blown away. And so you can put the crowning glory on there if you want. I'll let you do the antlers. So, and he was, "Oh, really?" I said, "Yeah, we'll go for it." But I said, "Oh, there's something missing on this." I said, it's just too open. We need to do something with it. And I thought, I'm going to clad some bits on it just to see what it looks like. So I did it the next day without him there, and I panel beat the copper round some of the structure on it. I was like, wow, that's just taken a whole new dynamic, that. And I just started placing little bits here and there. And it's just gestural, that you don't need to have it all done, because your mind can pick out it and go, yeah, that's a stag by the movement and the shape of it. And just having those extra bits there just to block out, it just helped. And and that was it. And I said, well, we're going to do wildflower sculpture exhibition. I started putting this in the stag, and we went and dropped it off. And it was on the Saturday or Friday night was the preview night or something like that. And we turned up a bit late, me, him, and his partner. And he got to the ticket office to pick up his artist, badge, which we were like buzzing about. Like, come on, mate, let's go get a beer.
How incredible. Isn't it amazing? Just going back to that bull, one of your first sort of animals that you made, the bull with the stones inside.
Sort of wire,
Yeah, so that was wire that you formed, and that was a smaller sculpture. And then it has the stones inside, and we were talking earlier about how the stones sort of mirror the flank and the muscles from the bull. So how do you actually create that?
Yeah, that was it was a funny one that I didn't have much materials around and stuff. That was when we first came to NZ, and I'd used looked in Janelle's mum's shed and stuff and found some wire. I thought I'll make a maquette up, so like make this body out this bull, and then I thought, oh, what can I fill it with? Because I'm going to use Daz, this air drying clay, to fill over the top, and I used the stones, and I thought, oh, that's quite cool, because I found a piece that just looked like a thigh, a muscle, and I thought I'll slide that in, and then I put some other pieces in and started pushing lots of other stones in, and they were like forming these muscle groups on the actual bull. So it was like harnessing the power with the wire. So
yeah,
like the number of wire harnessing the stone.
Yeah, and did you actually push the stones in once you created the sculpture?
Yeah, once you got so far with it, then you could push them in. But it's so annoying, like, because you'll get one certain stone, you push it in, and then it's like, and one will come out this.
Yeah, I can imagine.
It's really tough. So you've got to find the right ones and stuff, and then I use the finer wire just to go over to hold areas a little bit better. And it looks I was like blown away by myself. I was like, wow.
It looks amazing. And just the way that you managed to capture the animal and get the form so perfect, and the balance, and how you created it out of wire, and then it, like we were saying, it just stood by itself quite. You seem to have a natural sort of ability to recreate that animal shape perfectly, so that it's actually, the form is perfect, and then it can stand.
Yeah, and that's the way, like, because if you've got to get I think for me anyway, so in my own mind, it's like you've got to get that form right. There's certain characteristics that, because they're quite, like, a lot of my sculptures, they don't have that much in them, but it's the things that are in them. It's probably like making an Italian meal, isn't it? It's like there's only a couple of ingredients in it, but make them really well.
That's right. Yeah.
So it's like, get that, love it.
Yeah, it's so great. You can see your passion. It's just, it's quite infectious. And the work that you do is so striking, and it's so incredible that people just seem to react to it incredibly positively and want to own it. Like, you seem to have had that all the way through, haven't you, where people have bought it pretty quickly?
Yeah, I mean, I buy it because I'd like, I think I make stuff that I'd like, that I would buy if I could afford it. It's like, wow, what do I want to make next? And it's like, and so I just, I work that way. And I just think, when I did those, I did that second stag. This is a good story for like new players. Like, for the second stag, after obviously selling that other one, we were like, yes, this is it. We're on a run here. And so we made this other one, which is loads better than the first one. And I did Kypra sculpture exhibition up in Kypra. Yeah. And it was on for a year. So you could put a sculpture in there. But if it sells, you have to replace it. And I put it in, I thought, it's going to go, because it's right near a deer farm as well. And well, anyway, I took it up, put it in. It was up there for a year. Nothing happened at all. And I was blown away. I was like, why has it not sold when the other one just sold straight away? Yeah. So my mate said to me, says, I'm not bothered about it anymore, Glenn, with that. I says, you can pay me out on it if you want, because we went half as on we'll make it. So, all right, okay. So I paid him out on it. And lookers at it. One of my friends, Jack Marston, who does driftwood sculptures out of wood and stuff, and he's from Bolton. He uses recycling, so it's up in the northern England as well. And he'd taken some of my trout up to Auckland, and he'd showed them at King's College when he was dropping a piece off, and they really liked it. So that next year, when I went to pick up the stag, I said, "Oh, would you be interested in having a stag there?" And so I sent a picture up of the one standing on top of Tomato Peak, and they were like, wow, we love it. And I was like, oh, cool. So in fact, we want to put it in the magazine, right in the central pages. And I was like, oh, really? And I was like, oh, geez. And she said, in fact, we're going to put it outside at the front. We've got Luxury Lass sponsoring us, which is Land, Air, Sea Luxury. So these super millionaires can go and rent a yacht and a helicopter to fly you to your yacht and all this, yeah, whatever. Anyway, and they had 2 Ferraris flanking my my Stag. And I came up and I thought, well, I've only got that, and I've got a whole myriad of work that's in my shed, like stuff that's been carved out of a New Zealand falcon, the one that was carved out of a totra post. So I had that, and I had some ceramic pieces that I'd got. I had some feathers, and I thought I'll just throw a load of spaghetti and see what sticks. And so I took it along, dropped that off in, and and took the Stag, and again I went up to Rewa to stay at my mate's house up there, and we'd got extra tickets so they could come to the opening and stuff, and so we all jumped in a taxi down, got there, and one of the head boys come running over to me, and he's like high-fiving me. He says, "Oh, your Stag sold, mate." I was like, "What?" I was like, "No way." And I'm like, "Oh, beer, let's go get a beer." And so I went and got a beer, and then the lady who was looking after it came over to me. She says, "Do you think you could make another before Christmas?" I was like, "Really?"
Wow.
I was like, "Yeah." So yeah, I'll do it. Because it might have been actually October or something like that. I said, "Yeah, no, I'll do it, and I'll make sure I can do it, even though I'm working." And so I was like, "Cool, that's cool."
Yeah,
so,
that's interesting, isn't it? That it's appealing to that kind of market.
I know, and it didn't. The first one didn't. As I say, that other one didn't, and then you sell 2. So I always say that to a lot of people. I said, don't give up on, if you put a piece of artwork somewhere, don't give up on it. It's not you. It's just where it is. It's just not in the right area. Just try somewhere else, and give it a go.
Absolutely.
So so that kind of like really cemented it for me in the way that I was thinking, well, maybe I could actually make a job of this.
Yeah. And what year was that, Glenn?
How long ago was COVID?
Like 2020.
2020. So it'd probably been 2 years before. A year and a half before that, something like that. I would say.
Yeah. So for a while, did you start making, but you still kept your other job for a bit?
Yeah, I did. And what I did was I asked for the first year. I said, "Look, can I go 4 days?" I said, because I'm not, I said, "Look, I can do all my work in 4 days. You'll save yourself a wage on the Friday, and then I can do my work Friday, Saturday, Sunday, doing my artwork." Anyway, said, "Nah, because you cover too many people's jobs, because I'd learned how to do all these other things." I said, "Well, so, you can't." I want to do, I need to be doing something else, because I'm not going anywhere within the company. And he said, "Well, yeah, there's nowhere else for you to go within it either. It's, you're end of year." And then I started getting real depressed. And I did get depression. I went through depression because I just couldn't find my way out. And I was like stuck in a catch-22. They weren't going to help me go any further. Because it's a manufacturing company, there's no love lost on anybody. It's like harden up or F off, there's something better out there.
And at that point, were you not quite ready to pack in the day job?
Oh, not at all. No, it wasn't. Still, like, I didn't have commissions up my sleeve or anything like that. It was just I was still in a making nods and sods and putting it into galleries, and then they might sell some weeks, and some weeks they didn't. So and we've got Frankie was born, and so it wasn't like we've got mortgage and things like that. All these other things. We tend to forget about. So it was like, nah, it's not worth me doing it. And then, so on the second year, I asked again if I could go 4 days, and they said no. And I said, well, I'm going to actively look for another position somewhere else then. I got another job in kitchen design, which I'd never done in my life, but they were willing to take me on, and it was a 4-dayer. So I jumped into that, but I don't know what was wrong with me. I'd lost my mojo, and I got really, really down. I got into, I'm on antidepressants and stuff like that. Yeah, but I think I've always had depression, but I've never really. I've never. I never knew what triggered it and stuff, and the things was that what I found out that is when I'm not actually doing artwork, I'm actually depressed. That when I'm doing artwork, that's my happy space, and and I don't, I'm in my good area. That's my barometer.
And maybe
So
maybe you fell into that a bit more because you had that sort of glimmer of what it could be when you were making the
and it
stag,
was,
and you couldn't make it happen, and that would be depressing.
Oh, it was. Yeah, it was totally. It was like, oh, because I'd gone on to a lower wage, but thinking, I could easily enough, got into my artwork and stuff. But I just couldn't I couldn't force myself to get into my artwork again. When you force yourself, you can't do your artwork. It's just like, it's just so hard. You don't feel fulfilled by it at all.
You've got to be in the right headspace, don't you, really?
Totally. Yeah. And I had counselling and stuff like that. And that was during COVID, actually. Yeah. So they said to me, we shut down obviously for COVID and stuff like that. So I went into counselling and stuff. And during that period, I was getting counsel. I hadn't been made redundant at that point. We were like, we just shut down the business for a while. And he was telling me, he said to me, mate, he says, we chatted for a little while. He's this psychologist. He was an ex-barman. He's probably the best man to speak to, Irish barman. And it felt really relaxed to be able to speak to him and stuff. And he says, look, he says, I think the thing, Glenn, is, you know what it is, don't you? You need to get your arse out there in the garage and make some artwork. And I was like, yeah, and I think I do. I know. He says, look, it's going to be really hard for you. He says, just get out there, boy, and do it. And I was like,
amazing.
I think I do. And so he said, look, just do half an hour. Get out and just do half an hour, and then next day do another hour, and then just keep pushing yourself. And I did, and what I was doing, I started making these things, which I'd done a couple of for a guy at the engineering place, which was my pelotons, and what they were is copper cyclists on a wine barrel stave. And what I'd done is, because I live on Church Road, I'd gone to the winery and bought some wine barrels and split them up. And the wine barrel stave is this piece that goes down and it's bent. It's heated up and bent. And it's because it's oak, it's really strong wood, and it looks like a natural hill. And then I made these little copper cyclists that sit on top of that go right over the bridge of this hill. So the copper and the dark of the oak just work so well together. And I'd given one to my friend for his new cycling club as an award, because I'd said to him, what do you get at the end of the year, cycling things? He said, no, we get like a medal now and again. You need a really cool award. So I gave him that, and they use that one for the main one now. But it started taking off. A few people bought them. But then, as I say, I made a couple more and I put them online, and a couple of people spotted them and they liked them. And then somebody put them onto a cycling group, and it had 64,000 people on that cycling group, and it just went crackers. It was like people from America, like I was saying, to Texas. Into the best one that sold was sold 3. The guy from New York bought three of them off me, and I was just buzzing. I was like, wow. That people, and it just became a thing. Then I almost wanted to put a map on the wall and just start sticking places that I've sold pieces, and that was a buzz. And and
that's amazing to go so international, so quickly.
Yeah, well, because people were all stuck at home in COVID.
Yeah.
And the thing was, the galleries, people couldn't get to galleries and stuff like that. I could easily send. I could send from my house, and I've set up with DHL to pick up from a doorstep and then put it in a poster box. So I designed it with my engineering idea that the poster box was a metre long by 10 by 10. It fit perfectly in that. Cyclists could be pulled off and put underneath that hill, and it was a natural structure that couldn't get crushed.
Brilliant.
And then I'd tell her to tape it all up, and then away it went.
Wow. And was that through Instagram, Glenn? Is that how people?
No, Facebook. Facebook was the one. Instagram, I've sold probably 2 pieces through Instagram. Everything's Facebook, always.
Really? That's amazing.
And I'd say another good trick for new players is the thing that got me, because I was spending, it was $100 to send a piece to America. I went through lots and lots of different companies looking at their pricing structure, and DHL said to me, look, if you're going to be sending these, a few of them a month, we can give you a price break. So instead of spending $100 to sending them, dropped it right down to $50, and that was a massive saving.
Yeah,
and huge. And the beauty of it is as well that like if you put stuff in with DHL, instead of like say the post office, if you put it through the post office, it could take me weeks to get it over there. DHL actually have their airplanes and our first priority to get out of the country. So I was able to get some stuff over to Florida in 3 days from
Wow.
here.
That's amazing. And that COVID time was just such a crazy time for art buying, wasn't it? Like it just, that 2 years really, was so many people were buying art. So it was good timing in a way for you.
Yeah. And there was that site as well. You remember that site, Made in New Zealand?
Yeah.
And then it became Choice. Well, I posted on that as it got back to Jack Marsden. He posted one up and it was like, let's see how many people like our artwork, kind of thing. He was like 3,000. He like beat me well over. And I thought, I'll post mine on. I'll post a whole lot on as well. And I ended up getting 2.5 months worth of work set up during COVID.
So good.
Like, I'm on my way here. And so I said to my wife, what should I do? So, because I'm looking at work here. So I'm looking at getting another job and stuff. But I've actually got 2.5 months worth of work. Plus I could keep it going with these pelotons. And she said, go for it. Just have a go. And I haven't stopped since.
Isn't that brilliant? Well done. That's so great. And have you felt mentally better now that you're making?
Amazing. Yeah. It's brilliant. And the good thing is, like with depression and stuff, you need to talk to people and stuff. And it's like, I think that kind of, I'm not saying that, the demons are out with galleries and stuff, but because you always have to make that step. But having that connection with the person who's buying that piece or making something for them, and like they're seeing exactly what you've made, and you're both on the same page when you're together and you've made, so they've told you what you want, what they want, and you've made it. You can't get any closer. That's like that. There's, we're both looking at the set and we're both buzzing. We're like, wow,
It's quite an intimate connection, isn't it?
Yeah.
And that's so great. I mean, what a beautiful thing that you've discovered. You've discovered your art, and that connection making is something that really gives you a big buzz.
Yeah. And they only want to see you succeed. If you really do a good job for somebody and do, it's not a job. It's just, it's something that I get paid to make stuff that I really want to make. And it's just, that's how I see it. And it's just like, wow, this is the coolest job ever.
It's so good. And you look so happy talking about it. It's great to see that you've discovered your passion and that you're living the life that you want to live. How amazing.
And like, you can go anywhere with it. And like, this is the thing. And I think a lot of Kiwis kind of, because we live so far away, we seem to under this illusion that we can only sell within New Zealand. You can get everywhere. You can sell anywhere in anywhere. Like I've sold everywhere pretty much around the world and stuff. And you've just got to think how how are you going to get it over there? Or like, I'll make things that can clip, be put back together at the other end, and certain things I can't send, but other things I'll make it so they can be fit.
You have to consider that, I guess. But it is amazing, isn't it, that a lot of people make things and put them on Facebook, but they don't necessarily end up selling them all over the world. I mean, what do you think it is about your work that people connected to?
The journey as such. They look at with this, I think the Pelotons was like, it was the impetus, and it was a starting point, and people saw that, and then they're like, wow, I liked seeing him creating that and the end product. And then now I always like, every time I make anything, I'm showing where I am with things. People follow you with that, and then they'll pass it out, and and it's like, wow. And because I'm making different things every time, it's like they'll challenge me as such. Oh, could you make this? Of course I can make that. I'm not like, of course I can make that. Yes, I would love to make that. It's a challenge set, and I'm on it.
And you love that too, that challenge. And you're when you think about your art practice, I mean, like you just said, it is very varied. You're using recycled materials and copper and brass and wood, and you kind of come up with a lot of different things. I mean, it does seem very sort of New Zealand nature, flora and fauna
Yeah,
based.
it's very Scottish as well, though, if you look at it.
And Scotland, yeah. It's got
Yeah,
that
I mean,
connection to Scotland, yeah.
and northern England as well, where we used to, we lived near the lakes and stuff, Lake District and stuff like that. So it's all we understand the beauty of it and see, and all those animals and things like that with it. Well, we're just taking that love. We brought all those animals to shoot over here, didn't we? Pretty much.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. And your work, we were saying earlier, your work has a sort of, I mean, some of the work is very big and robust and sort of, strong, and other work is really quite fine and delicate, like your little dragonflies and your feathers, and your little moths that you make, which are beautiful, and the kowhai flowers as well. And so, all these images will be on your blog post for people to see. But you have, it's a huge range of work, really, from that, the big butty sort of animal stuff like the deer and the pig, the wild boar, down to these delicate tiny kowhai flowers.
It's the romanticism of it all. That's what it is, isn't it? It's like it's we've got this. Men have got it. Even though they're going about like a pig or a bull and stuff like that. They love the line, the staunch. They're just and it's the same. Like for women, they love that line and they're beautiful, and the fragility of that, and the way it can, it's just got that movement in the wind and stuff, and and I'm like that as well. I think it's like listening to music, isn't it? Some things I might listen to Prodigy and it's hardcore or something like that. Then I might want to listen to something like Holster, something this planet. We go through swings and roundabouts, and when changes emotions with it.
Yeah.
So
And how do you come up with your idea? I mean, how do you decide? I know a lot of your work is based around the material that you have, and it would be good actually in a minute to talk about how you source your materials. But how do you actually come up with the idea, apart, unless it's, if it's not a commission? How do you come up with the idea of what you want to make?
Just something I want to make in my own mind. Like I'll go, I might be... Like I want to make a horse. I haven't made a full-size horse yet, but I know, because I've done the stag and the body's pretty much similar, similar aspect, and it's also got that muscly part of a bull as such, as well. You got the beautiful lines. That's something else that I'd love to work on. So it's just stuff I'd always love to do. There's a lot of African animals as well that I loved, like that sitting on my dad's knee when I was a kid watching all the nature programs and stuff like that, and you just, wow, look at that thing, it's beautiful. Some things they manifest from nothing but from things that have been sat around for ages, and it's in the back of my mind. It's like I have a little picture book thing and I file them away, and I go, wow, that could make a great eye. Like sometimes if you're walking down the beach, you'll see those shells when they've been worn away, and it looks like a pair of glasses. You hold them up, kind of thing, and it's like, wow, that could be such a cool thing to use as an eye socket for something, or and I see a lot of things in everyday products and things that you could use and reutilize, but it's just having that eye, really. And obviously I've got it, so like for the stags and stuff like that, and what I usually use the ends of a hot water cylinder, because that's it's a big haunch round butty piece, so then that goes in there beautifully, but you got to shape it and fix it. But most of the job's done for you, but it's just understanding what could take that form. I've also, like when I made the prairie moths, if you look at those, they've got two on their eyes that's like they're quite domed, and those are just dome nuts. Get two dome nuts and then I weld them together, and then so you got these dome, and then I'll capture it with the copper, so then that's it held.
That's amazing.
Spoons for eyes, those are good. Great mirrors. There's so many products there. I mean, I could go easily into a scrap merchants and just I could spend hours in there.
Do you get materials from people and do you get given things, that kind of thing?
Yeah, I've got a flamethrower that I just got given, copper flamethrower. It's a real big piece of stuff as well, and I'll end up using that for something else. I'm actually thinking of doing a robot or something, because I'd like to try and I like to make a robot. I like that minion shape, like robots, and then the domey top, and then like even if it did do the one eye, the pressure gauge on like on my welding kit, you have like a pressure gauge kit, and you could put that, as one of the eyes or something like that, and arms. I use the copper piping and do the copper piping. So there's just so many things you can do.
And it's just the way your mind works, isn't it? You just you see things and you just start visualizing. And you've done the sort of patina with some of the copper pieces. How does that work?
Yeah, so that was a byproduct of me when I was making stuff like the stags and things. I've noticed that, when you're touching the copper, it's starting to, the acids and stuff off your finger and the greases are starting to change the colour on it. And then when I'm flaming, I'm sort of like welding some of the sulfos, which sulfos is it's the weld material I use for fixing the two components together, which has silver in it. And the heat, when it intensifies, you start getting like purples and reds and greens and all sorts. And I was like, wow, this, that looks so cool. So what I did was, as I started working down the line doing other projects, I'd just leave a piece of copper on the ground, and I'd work on something, and then I'd go, wow, it's basically, it's like having a color palette, if you're a painter. And then I'd go and get my torch, my flame torch, and I'd hit it across it and stuff, and then it'd be like, wow, that's nice colour. And if you have it at a lower temperature, you get more colours. And then I started looking into using acids, which is just like vinegar and things. You can put salt and vinegar on. The salt actually soaks the vinegar into it, and it'll hold it onto it better. And then ammonia, using a bit of ammonia, so you can get cleaning products. We've got ammonia in, put that bit of that on it, and it turns the patina, the teal blue, to really deep blues. Putting patina on, so putting the vinegar again and running cold air over the top, you'll get greens. But now I love it. I just love seeing the way it all works with different things.
That's amazing. And you're quite experimental, aren't you? You kind of just stuff happens as you're working.
Yeah, and then I just try and work it out and nut it out, and then try and repeat it, and how can I recreate that again? Because I've had some like lime green, like, just so bright is the green in that, and it's just wonderful. I don't know how the hell I've done it. Just get it down again, and I'm like, wow, it's just, whoa, that's awesome. Best color, like purples and things like that. That's basically heat, getting that one through. And then it's the big thing of actually holding that once you've done that, to keep that color. So you find like clear coats without any acid in it, because acid will obviously, it will either make it go brown, or it can turn it a different color. So you need to find something that you can put on that'll hold that. So there's a lot of marine clear coats and stuff for when they're putting up the brasses that you put on. Yeah, and sourcing those. So there's lots and lots of things that you think about.
It's incredible.
You look into and work with it. Yeah. So,
and you also do quite a lot of kind of engraving, or I guess you'd call it engraving of some sort, with your beautiful Periri moths that you were talking about that have got the constellations in the wings. Can you tell us about that?
Yeah, so you'll get, so you'd I'd verdigris the whole thing, get the colours on there and heat and stuff like that. Then I put a clear coat over to hold that, then engrave, and then that picks a line out in it. You get this intense shiny part on there, and then you need to hold that again. So I put another clear coat over the top of that line again. So it's a whole process of going through the thing. It's bizarre because nobody really, I haven't seen anybody else really doing it. I've just done it. I just kind of work with it, and then I think, my dad, we had an old bedpan, the old plastic, the old bedpans with a wooden long thing. He had one of those, and he did he engraved a brown owl. Was it a brown owl? Yeah, it was a brown owl on the front of it. So I probably got the idea from there. He engraved it onto that. Just picked it up really well, but he didn't have the clear coat to hold that. So it's actually the engraving part's gone darker than the actual other parts because it's over time it's picked up more dirt and stuff and
Right.
more constant that way.
What do you actually use for the engraving on the copper?
Just a Dremel, and then just various different bits. I'll try out. I'll try out on there. And away you go. It's just
so good.
So when I started doing the copper, I was like, wow, this is like abstract art.
There you go.
And I was like running all these different colours over. I was like, wow, it's really cool. And it's understanding, getting that right balance as well. Because you can slap stuff on, but, to get it looking right, you still got to play around with it and stuff. There's still a lot of hit and miss. The river runs through it, it was called. And what I did was I got a big piece of copper and it was rectangle. And I just ran the verdigris, from one corner up in the top corner, led your eye in, and I sort of ran the acids down, and then it had all these little tributaries coming off of it, running right into its corner. It was about 2 meters long, it was about 1 meter high. And that came out beautifully. It was lovely doing that. And then off of that, then I do seem to do quite a lot of like mini earths as such, like these half dome ones that sit off your wall. And then I'll add these little countries in there. They're all, they're all made up. They're not anything based on anything. I think that's the beauty of it as well, that people kind of, their own mind up of what it is.
So you are actually going a little bit abstract in some ways, aren't you?
Yeah, I have. Yeah, I've just naturally led it. And the thing, so I was saying earlier with you as well about the, a lot of people are using acrylics and stuff like that, all this 2-part epoxies and stuff to do it. And I thought, it's such a cool thing for a natural, it's a natural, it's a natural thing that grows on there. And it's just like, if I use these colours and I can use temperature and vinegar and all these other products to create that, it's just like, it's just, there's no plastic involved in it.
I love the way that you, like we were saying before, some of your pieces are so delicate, but, the way you've used that patina in your feathers and all the different colours that have come through that. And they feel so sort of fragile and beautiful, but obviously pretty strong. But then also little touches like the leaves on the apple that you made for the Apple project, called the Big Apple Project. And that was so beautiful, and it's a real sort of lovely contrast with the solidity of the apple and then that delicate above that. Can you tell us about the Apple project?
How that came about? I mean, first of all, Maurizio Benenga, he started that up. It was his idea, and he couldn't get it passed for a couple of years because of COVID and things like that. Then this year they got it through, but it was really short, like I think we got a month and a half or something to do something. So we had to put in an idea within that week or 2 weeks and then start on it. And I was actually doing another exhibition at Hastings Gallery. And I said, yeah, chuck it on, I'll do it. And I'd come up with an idea. He said I was the first one to come back with an idea because I sent it back within about an hour. And but what it was I'd actually made something a little bit similar a few years earlier called From Tiny Acorns to Mighty Oaks Grow. And I'd made some acorns out of wood. I turned them on the lathe, the acorns out of oak, and then I put copper cups on the end of it. And then I did 3 of those with the oak leaves. And then I made a tiny oak tree, bonsai tree, growing out of one of the seeds. And it had a massive pulpit of all these of all the leaves and stuff on top, and it went off really well. It sold immediately, and as soon as he put forward, he said, it's the project's all about apples and the growth of the industry in Hawke's Bay and how it's dealing. And I thought, the growth, and it just clicked. And it was like, right, I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I said, I'm going to do the apple's going to be all in copper, and I'll do a apple tree growing out of the apple, bonsai apple tree, with another apple growing on that. So it's perpetually, I always got, it continues going through creating. And then, but it grew as we were doing, because it started off as that, and the apple was going to be really shiny copper. And then he came back to me and told me, he says, look, because you're making it out of copper, it's actually going to go to the airport. I'm going to put it there. And I was like, I could put the atlas on the apple. So then I did the atlas on the apple. So I used verdigris then. So I used the acid to make the countries, which got this greeny blue. And then I accented them by putting a copper wire around each of those countries. But I made it so that it was the right way up, that New Zealand and Australia are up at the top.
Nice.
And you look at the Europe and that's all at the bottom, because it's as though we look that way. I mean, from our eyes, we are on top of the world.
Exactly. I like it.
I put it that way. And then I made the tree, and then I thought, oh, it'd be cool to put another apple on there. And then right at the end, I thought, oh, it'd be nice to put a couple of birds in. So I did a couple of fantails, 3 fantails, and put them up in the tree as well. Yeah, and that's gone pretty well. It's there's 20 artists that are involved in it. Josh is one of those. Josh Lancaster, who you had on before, he's made one also, and we've all got them out there. And basically, I think it's in October. They're all going to be up for auction. It's $3,000 reserve on them. They're all a meter, like the apples themselves are a meter by a meter.
Yeah.
But my one's probably 2 meters, because I've got this tree growing out of it.
It's really beautiful. And that one's called The Growth of an Empire, which is
Empire, there's an empire apple as well.
Ah, brilliant.
The Growth of an Empire. It's not only it's a double
nice. And how did you actually get the copper? Because you were given a fiberglass apple, weren't you? So how did you actually get the copper on top of the apple?
I drilled 3 holes into the apple. I had some sheets of copper, and I just started making rings of it. So if you can imagine getting like an A4 piece of paper and then just curving it round and then welding that, and then getting smaller and smaller as I went up. The holes themselves inside of that cylinder cone, there was 3 pipes of copper going further through it, so they actually fitted straight into the holes that were in the apple itself. And underneath, I just had to bend the pieces of copper inside the apple, because it's hollow, and that holds it all up. And then I just from there I started adding the branches and adding all the leaves and stuff. The thing is, saying earlier about getting the ideas from work, I don't actually ever use any computers. Everything's handmade and hand cut. I use tin snips for everything. And one of the reasons why is because I feel that there's just too much of like cotton steel, laser cut sculpture everywhere. And it just I just feel as though we've got to go back to basics and go back to traditions that we've kind of seem to have lost a connection with. And get back on the tools, get your hands involved, get some love and labor in there. That's why I like getting those. You can't create a lot of that by computer. You can, some of it to a certain point, but whilst you're in the mix of it and changing things, and it's not. Yeah, you need to get involved with it.
And maybe that's why people are reacting to your work so positively. That you have that, that your work has that sort of feel that you've got your hands in there and you're creating from scratch.
Yeah, it is. It is from scratch. It's just feeling, and it's emotion that drives it whilst I'm making the artwork. It's not, I get excited, and as I'm going through it, I just feel, I can feel it. It's just, it just feels great. And seeing that movement and stuff, and it's the light play, and you say I like to get the light, like at the end of the night if I'm working on a big piece and stuff. I've got a hammock that's in the garage, and I flick that up, I get that up, and then I'll put the lights down, and I have one spotlight on the piece, and I'll just look at it from different angles and put different lighting underneath, and it just it's magical. Absolutely magical.
Well, you're adding another dimension, aren't you? That's
totally.
Reflection and shadow and light, adding that to your work is just so beautiful. And all of your work lends itself really well to that kind of adding that kind of making that connection, I guess, and enhancing what you've already made.
And it's funny, at my not last exhibition, it was the exhibition before at Hastings. It's kind of a little bit OTT, this bit what I said, but I said it's likened a little bit with my artwork. Now it's like that. It's that when you first meet somebody, you're really, you're really, really into, and you travel like 2 days to be with them just for that 2 hours or something. And it's like, and that's for me with artwork. It's like I'll do anything to get out there and get on the tools and be on it just
Yeah.
for a couple of minutes, so I'll do something. I just
Oh,
love it.
so good.
It's just my zing.
Yeah, and you just exude passion. I mean, you can see it through the computer screen. You're so passionate about it, and you're so into it. It's amazing.
Yeah.
And I'm so happy for you that it's all been so well received. I mean, you're just on fire. I feel like you can achieve anything.
Yeah, and that's it. I think you've got to do that, Ellie. Yeah, when you're in that mode and stuff, just go for it. There's no, like, say, like with that stag, sits there for a year and you get, and didn't do anything. You just don't. It's not a failure. There's no failures in life in that sense. You just got to frame it differently, or work on how did that not work properly, or can I try something different? I've had artwork that I've got that's sat in a gallery, and then it's not moved at all. And then I thought, I'll tell you what, I'm going to bring it back home and I'm going to actually change it, and I'll just do something, a few tweaks here and there, add to it, make it something totally different, and then people want to buy it. And it's like, it just needed that. It was just missing that salt and pepper, and now the taste's good.
That's right. I love it. Oh, that's so good. I feel like you're just at the beginning of this amazing career.
Yeah, big thing now is I'm going to try, but next goal is Chelsea Flower Show in Britain, because when I went back over for my mum's funeral and stuff, I travelled all the way from Scotland right through, and I met up with two sculptors on the way through that I didn't know. This is a thing for everybody. Just contact any artists. Go and have a chat with them. They want to have a chat anyway.
Yeah.
And I contacted him and said, I could have a cup, spend a bit of time with him. Spoke to him and said, look, if you could start all over again, what would you do to propel yourself? And they were like, both of them said Chelsea Flower Show, even though it costs an absolute bomb, and you can't actually sell anything there. It's all commission based only. The coverage alone, because it goes all over the world, is just brilliant. So you've got to get in for a start anyway, which is a hurdle. And then once you're in there, and that, like, instead of them working hard for like 20 years and trying to get the name forward, and hidden on galleries and not meeting your clients, you're right out in front, speaking to your clients, and you're selling yourself. And it's and that's what opens you up to the world.
Yeah, so, that sounds incredible. Yeah. That's exciting. It's brilliant. Oh, well, it's been lovely meeting you, Glen, and thank you so much for your time and for your honesty, talking about your mental health. And, your work is incredible, and I think that you are going to go to very high places, and I've really enjoyed learning about your work, actually, and all the best, and thank you so much.
Yeah, no worries at all. And if anybody wants to ask any questions about, just flick me a message on Insta or Facebook. Yeah, I'm more than open to chatting away. It's great to have links with other people.
Yeah, that's brilliant. Thank you so much, Glen.
Okay, lovely. Thank you again.
All right, see you.